entrepreneurial surveys. Anybody seen it? Yes, cool. So I'm what's called an Uber entrepreneur. Jen's like, oh my God, you're off the charts on everything but two things. And she goes, I don't get this. She's like, but I'm a team builder. I'm a team builder. I'm not a lone wolf, and we'll talk about that as we go through. So when we talk about a story, I'm going to talk about early stage funding and your startup. And what I love is David's story. I'm sorry that we weren't able to get him funding when he came to the Gulf Coast Venture Forum. But David has networked his behind off, and I have watched him over several years change his pitch and take feedback from people to the point that he could go and do what he's doing now. And it's like so cool. It's like I'm going to be talking here with David too. So what allows me to talk to you about this? It's not that I've raised millions of dollars like Joy has. I have been building a community of people called Barcamp Sarasota Bradenton. We're the largest business and technology community in the state. And as of yesterday, we're going to be coordinating regional committees for the Global Entrepreneurship Week around the state in conjunction out of the national headquarters from Washington. So I work with entrepreneurs all the time, and I hear about 100 companies pitch. And then when they don't get funded, yeah, they do the other itch on the other side. So, okay. For me, I want you to get money. I want you to be successful. And when our companies pitch and they walk out the door, I get to sit with my investors and hear what they say about you. So I'm going to share with you what the investors are going to talk about if you're looking for money. And if you think, people think that money's the magic bullet. I have to tell you, it's not. Some of you don't need money. You need a better revenue model. You need to decide who you want to be, because if you don't know who you want to be, someone will tell you. You need to have an exit strategy. Do you want to be in your company for the long term? Because if you're going to look for money, Joy will tell you. Don't plan on staying there for 20 years. That's not going to be fun. Know who you want to be and what you want to be and how you want to grow your business before you go looking for this magic bullet called money, because it's not as easy as you think. Go ahead. Okay. When you're looking at your business, okay, are you repeatable, whatever you're doing? Can you do it again and again and again? Is it a project or is it a process? Can you sustain that? And this thing right here, scalable and transferable, are key issues if you're going to look for money. Okay, one of my investors says that money is a time machine. Okay, if you're going to have growth like this, don't go looking for money. If you're going to have growth like this, money can help you do that, because your early stage investors are going to look for a return on their investment in 3 to 5 years. And a home run for them is a 10-time return. So you go, oh my gosh, so an average investment, so I live in Sarasota, which is the wealthiest county in the state. So an average early stage investment there may be closer to the high end, which is maybe 70 to 100,000, in contrast to closer to the lower end, where maybe in some communities, which might be as low as 10,000, or maybe averaging somewhere around 25, 30, 40, 50,000. Okay, those investors are going to look for a 10-time return. So if they give you $40,000, they're going to look for $400,000 3 to 5 years. And you go, wow, that's a lot. Well, if your company goes like this, that's not a lot. 400,000. You know, if you have a little startup down here, if you have a company that's worth $15 million over here, that 400,000 is nothing. But you need to know that if you're going to have a more traditional growth, go back and look at your revenue model and figure out how you can make money. Go ahead, next slide. Okay, do you really need funding? What do the VCs say? So I was at the Florida Venture Forum and there was a panel, and I said, okay, so let's talk about it. You know, for Facebook, people are trying to figure out, how do we monetize this? And there's been this thing with entrepreneurs. I have built it, they will come. Or I'm going to get market share. I'm going to have hundreds of thousands of people using my platform, and then we're going to figure out how to make money. No. Okay. The VCs say, as far as market share profitability, go for the money. Next slide. Raising capital is tough. If you're going to need funding, cash flow buys you time to survive. That buys you time until you make it. You know, it's hard when the entrepreneurs come in and they go, I got 60 days. I got this, this, and this. As an Uber entrepreneur myself, monetizing something that went from a community initiative into this huge type of thing with, you know, high-tech corridor sponsorship and all this kind of stuff there, it's painful. I know what it's like. And I'm a single mom with no child support. So talk about underfunded. I know what that pain is like. Cash flow will help you survive until you make it. My partner Sam put in a picture on Facebook the other day, and it's about the difference about entrepreneurs, and it's a cliff diver doing a back circle. He goes, entrepreneurs are people that dive off the cliff and build an airplane on the way down. I sent the slides to Kimberly before that. So where does money come from? You decide that you are going to need money, you're going to be fast growth, you need that time machine. Friends and family, seed capital. You know, I tell people, if you can't convince your mom to give you money, you better go back and think about what you're doing. Crowdfunding, donation versus equity. Two major types there. There's been some stuff that has happened in July as far as crowdfunding moving forward. I was talking to Bob Lowe right before here. Some scary stuff about crowdfunding, some good stuff depending on whether you're doing donation versus equity. I'd like to mention this. Some people say, oh, nobody gets SBIR money. That's small business innovative research money. Technology transfer money. Maybe they didn't. Maybe the first time it's hard. There are businesses that have built their model of gathering revenue on this. This is small business innovative research. These are grants. Very cool because you don't have to pay them back. That's always kind of cool. They don't take an equity stake in your company. They give you money. Now, you don't get to decide what you want to do, but in SBIR, there's 11 different agencies that several times a year post their solicitations. We actually are fortunate because McDill is here, which has a SOCOM office. Okay? There's actually some very, very talented acquisition professionals here. And this is where the federal government does research and development. End goal is commercialization. So I was just reading an article. When I first did my first SBIR conference, I don't know, like 2005, there's three phases, and the first phase was 75,000, now it's 125. Money has raised a whole lot. This year, they put a solicitation. So an example of one last year that I used is somebody said, who could build a learning management desktop solution for warfare fighting? So you're going to be able to work for your desktop and help people learn how to deal with airplanes fighting. Cool. And I was at a technology conference, and in a room of 40, there's like 9 people that raised their hand. They could build that solution. That's what they do, is they throw the question out there, and they ask you to solve it, and Enterprise Florida actually has a grant that will pay, that you can get, that will help you apply for that money. So very cool, check it out. Then angels are individuals, networks, clubs, and platforms. This is all your early stage funding. We're going to talk about VC briefly because people interchange those. Next slide. So, this here was taken from an article. If you want this information, get my card. I'm not going to talk all about it, but these are the top 10 in crowdfunding. Donation versus equity. Kickstarter, donation-based. Indiegogo, donation-based. Crowdfunder, social networks, tech startups. Lots of different things going on in this area. Rocket Hub, next slide. CrowdRise. SomaLend, this is small businesses lending, debt-based investment. Very interesting, lots of different things going here. AppBacker, donation-based funding for mobile app development. AngelList, David mentioned that, invested in Quirky. I think this is interesting. I have a friend who heads up the Tampa Bay inventor community, and so Quirky is inventor, maker, or tinkerers, collaborating crowdfunding. Now, one of my investors says the challenge with crowdfunding is for a lot of the organizations, except for Crowdfunder on the other side, a lot of them, it's a technology platform that is used to give you money. But money is not the magic bullet. Remember that? Okay, all money is not created equal, just like all clients are. Have you ever had somebody hire you that you wish would go away? Where they gave you money and every time they came in you had to resell the thing and you were going to be so glad when they were done? All investment money is not money you want to take, is it, David? No. There's some people that are going to offer you money. I watched an entrepreneur give away 50% of his company for $250,000. That's pitiful. Next slide. So, angel and venture. These are two different animals, okay? When we see early stage when we see entrepreneurs coming in looking for early stage capital, they use these words interchangeably. And all that does is tell anybody who's going to invest in you that you don't know what you are talking about. Okay? So investors are investors. Okay? Life has changed somewhat with the crowdfunding in that unaccredited investors now have a way to invest in you. Previously, an accredited investor is someone that has enough money that if you tank, that they're not going to have to eat cat food for the rest of their life. They're supposed to have enough money that if something happens, that somebody will say they're a savvy investor. They didn't get that money on accident, and so they should be able to make a knowledgeable decision. So this is based on accredited investors. Investors that like to invest in pre-revenue or post-revenue. Okay? That does not mean in the black, profitable. Pre-revenue is somebody who's in idea stage. Post-revenue means that somebody has given you money. It doesn't mean that you're profitable. It means that somebody said, wow, I like that, and they gave you money. They validated your idea by giving you some kind of payment. That fits into the angel category. Venture capital, like David said, it's a whole different market. It's a whole different market. They're looking for a company that's proven, that is going to go to the next level, that's going to need funding. But they're not looking at this, how does it fit? Who's your ideal? You're not looking at this lean startup and what you need to change. That's an early stage investor. There's some great stuff. The University of New Hampshire has spent 20 years studying angel investment. And so, to me, if you're going to look for your prospect, and I wanted to say this because Cliff was talking, how I got into this arena is I actually was part of the Sandler Sales Institute in Tampa and was working with someone, and I watched some companies pitch. And I went, wow, this is sales. This is sales, but this is like really cool stuff because these people have two portions to their sale. They have a sale down here where they're working with their individual client, and now that somebody's going to give them money, they're the product, and they don't know it. They don't know it. And the reason I wanted to share that, because what Cliff does is absolutely incredible, okay? But the big piece is that you're the product. Know who your prospect is. Just because somebody has money doesn't mean they want to give it to you. Okay? If I invest in real estate, I might not be interested in your tech gadget. If I'm a single mom, I may want, or a mom or whatever, I may have individual interests. Know who you're talking to because not everybody is your prospect. Just like everybody's not going to buy your product, every investor is not your prospect because it's a sale. Next slide. This I kept up here, even though it's a 2011 statistic. I think this is incredible. Angel investments, okay, in 2011, 2.5 jobs per angel investment. Okay, so an angel investment averages between $10,000 and $77,000, depending on the area that it is. So if we took a median in there, went somewhere towards the middle, we're looking at $40,000. Produces 2.5 jobs. Understand that only 3 out of 10 companies that are early stage investments are probably going to succeed, and only 1 out of those 10 is going to be a home run. Those other 2 are going to be producing return. And so you've got a whole host of them that aren't even going to succeed. And yet, for every investment, that produces 2.5 jobs. Let me see any economic development corporation that can do that. 40,000 as an average is producing more. You can't even pay 2.5 people for $40,000 a year. Okay, next slide. What are investors looking for? I love this. People come to me and they go, I have a great idea. I can tell you I don't care. People don't invest in your great idea. Lots of people have great ideas in the shower and do nothing with them. It's about implementation. That's only the beginning. Is it novel? Is it differentiated? Is it substantiated by real market needs? There is some great stuff out there now on lean startup and the validation of markets. There's all kinds of cool stuff. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, now is the time. Do you have skin in the game? Or have you expected everybody else to fund this while you're working at your full-time gig and everybody else? I had this one, somebody said, well, will somebody take an equity stake? And I was like, you want to know what? Everybody wants us to take an equity stake, don't they, Joy? Yeah. Oh, I'm going to give you a portion of my company. I have to tell you that I have somebody that I insisted that they pay me, and when I worked with them for a certain portion, was a performance, okay, with a performance bonus. I worked with them for 2 months on a 3-month contract. Okay, nobody was going to give them money, because now I know why nobody's going to give them money. Do you have skin in the game? Are you expecting everybody else to work with you for free? Do you have a management team? This is crucial. Nobody succeeds on their own. There's some great TED videos. If you haven't been watching TED, go there and look up entrepreneur. When you go for a traditional loan, you go for a house, and if you don't pay, they foreclose on it, right? You know that, right? If you don't pay for your car, they come and pick it up. As an entrepreneur, what do you have to offer me as an investor? All I can count on is, do you have a team around you that has the skill sets to make it happen? Now, you don't have to pay all those people, but you have to be a leader, and you have to be able to share your vision in such a way that you can inspire people to get on your team and take action. So, if you haven't gone to the Startup Weekend, go to the Startup Weekend. It's at the end of Global Entrepreneurship Week. Susie Steiner's involved in that. I think, Joy, are you involved in that? Talk to Joy about it. Go practice, because you have to go pitch, and you have to be good enough to get your idea across so that you can gather a team. If you can't gather a team and you're the Lone Ranger, okay, get a tonto. Nobody goes it alone. A track record. Can you get it done? Next slide. What investors are going to look for? Due diligence. They're going to dig. Now, how they're going to dig in early stage is going to be different than how it is when you go for bigger money. So start with the end in mind if you know that you're going to go for money. Management team is up there at the top. Business model. What's going on in the industry? What's going on in the market? Okay? Having a 120-page business plan and a 20-page executive summary, I've seen those. Your business plan is not going to guarantee that you're going to get funding. You know, do you have a management team that can make it happen? Because if you have a management team that can make it happen, even if you have to pivot, that means recalculate route. You'll still be able to implement. Is there an industry? Is there a market need out there? And how are you going to make money? We're not going to gather market share and then figure out later how people are going to pay us. Next slide. What resources are available? There's tons of resources. I am so proud of TBTF for starting the peer networks in this entrepreneurs network. If you're a technologist, go to they have the engine. Yes, great. I was trying to think. The engine. Awesome, awesome. And if you're not a technologist and you're looking for teams and you're an entrepreneur and you want to go find cool people, there's developers across platforms. Great way. Find talent. Startup Weekend. Find talent. Small Business Development Center. SCORE. You know, there's all kinds of people out there. Your EDCs, EDOs, independent groups, consultants, masterminds. Now, when David said this, the brokers, these people that tell you that if you pay them $3,000 to $5,000 a month, they're going to guarantee that they're going to find you funding. That's garbage, isn't it? Yeah. People that are networked, people that have those resources that are real. That are going to work with you, that are going to bring more to the table than ask you for a check. Look for those. All money is not created equal. Some people may bring you a smaller amount of money, but all they have to do is pick up the phone, and that could be priceless. Last slide. Okay, if you want better answers, ask better questions. You know, I tell the story that I actually worked with a Disney-like entertainment animatronics company. We did entertainment stuff. Cool things, and right before September 11th. But, so I say, if Steven Spielberg came to you and he said, I want you to make it look like the world blew up, and you have a special effects company, and you had no idea how to do that, what would you tell him? Would you tell him no, Amy?
I would tell him yes.
You would say, Mr. Spielberg, let me get with the team and find out what your options are. There is no. My dad's an inventor. You know, the prototype doesn't work. Go back to the shop and you tweak it. If you're not getting the results that you want, ask better questions. David was a brilliant example. He just kept plugging away and making connections and going out and adjusting his model just keep doing it. Don't give up. The thing about not being emotionally involved is another slide. We'll talk about that another day. And I think that was my last one. Go ahead. Yep, that's it. If you want this stuff on the crowdfunding or whatever, get my card and I'll send it. I require entrepreneurs to be proactive. Have a great evening.